Christina Verscher, thank you for having this interview for Antena 3 CNN.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to meet. It's always a huge pleasure.
Can we say that Petrom started the irreversible operation of extracting gas from the Black Sea?
So Neptun Deep, we are making really good progress. Maybe if I would just start with just a reminder. So what we are doing with our partner Romgas is looking to develop the Neptun Deep fields, and in that we will look to extract 100 BCM of gas. It's going to cost about 4 billion euros to do the development, and our goal is to have first production, or what we call first gas, in 2027. So maybe where are we? So firstly, we have started the construction of the platform. That's being done both in Indonesia and in Italy. We have started the construction of the natural gas metering station. That's in Tuzla, Romania. And as probably many people have seen, the drilling rig, the Transocean Barents rig, has arrived in Constanța so that we can actually start drilling activity in 2025. So a huge amount of activity is going on. Probably most people wonder and say, okay, there's a rig there. So Christina, why does it take till 2027 to see first production? So maybe I can sort of talk about what are the big next steps that are going on. So what we're very proud of is that the rig has come into the Black Sea, and it's not easy to get a rig of that size into the Black Sea because it needs to come under the bridges in the Bosphorus Strait. So a huge amount of modifications had to be done on the rig to get it lower so that it could come under the bridges. So now that she is here in Constanța, she's going to spend a couple of months putting all of it back up again so that actually she can come back to being a drilling rig, is what she's designed to do. She's then going to go into location, and we're going to drill 10 wells. So just to give you an idea, those wells are either in 100 meter of depth or 1,000 meter of water depth. And they go either 2 to 3 kilometers below into the ground. So we've got to drill 10 of those, and that's going to take about 1.5 years to drill those wells. In addition then, we will bring the platform, once it's all built, into the Black Sea, put the platform in case in shallow water, and put the pipes from the wells to the platform, and then the pipe from the platform into the onshore. And that will take us into 2027. So that's what we're going to be doing to get to first gas in 2027. So it's exciting times. It's great to have the rig here. She's a very impressive piece of machinery, and it's very nice because it makes it very visible for all of us, and I think that's what makes it very exciting.
We have waiting for this moment for such a long time. And what will happen when in 2027 the first cubic meter of gas from the Black Sea will arrive in the Romanian national gas system?
So first of all, I would say to some degree it would come into the system, and maybe people won't necessarily see anything different because piped gas is piped gas and it stays inside the system. But I think we should think about what Neptun Deep is really for Romania. Obviously it's incredibly strategic for us as a company, but I do think it's very strategic for Romania. Once she actually starts producing, it's going to ultimately really give us source of security of energy supply for Romania. This is, I think, a fundamental aspect of what's going to happen when we get production. Secondly is the economic benefit. So we've done the analysis, and actually what we can see is that over the life of the Neptun Deep production is going to bring 20 billion euros to the Romanian state. So the economic side is also very significant. And thirdly, I think it's really going to put Romania on the map with regards to its place as an energy player in the region. Romania is going to become the largest producer of natural gas in the European Union. So these are, I think, 3 things that are going to come from actually when gas actually starts to produce. And if I had one other one that I think is really significant, and this is maybe a bit more on the emotional side, is just that, and this I see in the team, is just so much pride in seeing a project of this scale in Romania. And you can feel it with everybody that touches the project, whether they're working in Petrom, in Romgas, whether they're working as contractors, working with the Transgas team. You can see it everywhere, just that sense of pride. And really this to me is also the start of the next chapter of Romania's energy journey. And obviously it's a country that's had a very rich oil and gas history, and this is, to me, the start of a next chapter.
For how many years this project, Neptun Deep, will be available for Romania? For how many years we will be the first country in the EU as a gas resource?
So the development profile, I think, is about 20 years. But it will be what we call on plateau, so the production will be at a certain level for 8 to 10 years, and then the natural decline will start from that. So it's actually in the development of a gas field, that's quite a long plateau, because there's a very significant amount of resource. So we will have that, as I said, for 8 to 10 years, and then it will start to decline after that. So a really, really good amount of supply coming into Romania.
What are the amounts from financial point of view? You said 20 billion euros for Romanian budget, but on horizontal.
Yeah, it will be spread over time. Of course, it will be partly dependent on what the price is, because in the end, you're paying based on royalties, you're paying based on taxes as well. You've also got the what you call the sort of indirect impact as well with regards to it overall. So, but that's the calculation that an independent group did, and it will be spread over time. But clearly, the larger the production, the larger the contribution. So the first 8 to 10 years, I think, will be the most significant contribution.
What about the people? Do you have specialists prepared to be on platform? What messages will you give to some young engineers from Ploiești that wants to work for Petrom in that platform for the next years?
Yes, yeah. Actually, I met some new engineers. They weren't actually working on Neptune, but I met some new engineers who had just come into the firm, 27 years old. I was talking to them. I was actually out in Moren, actually, talking to young engineers coming in. I mean, I think what we see is obviously it shows the future and the potential that we think is there in the Black Sea. Neptun Deep is the first. This is the opportunity, but we would hope obviously to see more opportunity after that. Just to show that there is future in the gas industry. And I think that also is really important, because people want to understand, okay, so why is gas part of the energy transition? And it is definitely part of the energy transition. And I would capture it in sort of two aspects overall. Is one, of the fossil fuels, between coal, oil and gas, it has the lowest carbon footprint. And second, it's very important we see as our electricity mix changes and becomes more green and more renewable, so you need the reliability of gas-fired electricity, because when the wind doesn't when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, you need to make sure you've got a reliable electricity source in that, and gas plays a very important role in that. So that we think gas is a very important part of the energy transition, and I hope that is important for the next generation coming in. Overall, we have many people working on the project here in Romania and across the world as well. And obviously, when we go into operations, we will have people involved too. And it's been fun, because I was on the rig when it was in Spain, because it was in Spain before it came in. Found some Romanians working there on it. I've been actually on some other onshore drilling rigs and talking to people who at some point in time will go and work on the offshore drilling rigs. So lots of people involved.
So you will need working force from Romania in the next years for these projects and for others from Petrom.
Yes, for sure. I mean, we have many projects going on. So maybe just a little bit about what Petrom is doing. So at the end of 2021, we laid out a strategy to 2030, and that we would be investing 11 billion euros. So it's that investment, obviously, that drives activity, that drives the need for people, both inside the company, but also with other companies as well, whether they're partners, contractors. So the investment is the really important message. And of course, of that 11 billion, 2 of that actually is Neptune, because that's our 50% of Neptune. So there's a lot of other projects as well that we are doing in part as part of the energy transition going forward. And we need people for all of those. I mean, we have people inside our own company that are moving from working more on the traditional side of the business, who will be working more on the low and zero carbons. We're also recruiting people in who maybe have some experience that can help us. We're working with other partners who have experience as well. This is how we make sure that we have the capability we need as we go through this energy transition.
Right. Can we tell the people if the Neptun Deep resources will replace the Russian gas imports in Romania and in other European countries like Austria and Hungary?
So what we can see is that without Neptun Deep, Romania would become a bigger and bigger importer of natural gas.
Because the needs are growing every day.
The needs are growing, and actually there's always natural decline. So the existing resources that we have in Romania that have served the country so well, they are on a natural decline. So in comes Neptun Deep and actually replaces some of that decline, and then allows to fulfill the country's needs. So yes, I believe Romania will for a period of time be in an exporting position. So it will be able to help its neighbors as well for that. But ultimately it will ensure its own energy security and allow itself to have its own independence with regards to its, particularly its natural gas needs.
What will happen with Petrom when all the cars will be electric and we will need no fuel?
Yeah.
Have you planned for that?
So let me talk to you a little bit about what we call our low and zero carbon projects, because we are absolutely planning for that. And I think I would be clear to say is the energy transition is underway. And we clearly see that we want to play a very important role in enabling that, being part of the solution and enabling the sustainability of our company as well. So what have we been doing? So of the 11 billion, we've set aside 3.7 billion for what we call low and zero carbon activities. And I would bucket it in sort of three categories. One, how are we going to grow green power? Because we can see electrification, like you said. What are we going to do with regards to decarbonizing transportation? And third, how do we help with storage, particularly in the matter of CO2? So if I look at what we have done, we have built ourselves a portfolio of wind and solar projects of 2.3 gigawatts of capacity. We now have that in our portfolio, and over the next few years we're going to be turning that through development actually into power generation. So that's wind and solar. So we want to be part of the increase in green power in the country. And then second, coming a little bit to your question, is around transportation. So what are we doing about transportation? So we have the largest EV charging networks of fast and ultra-fast chargers in our network in Romania.
In the gas stations?
In the gas stations and outside the gas stations as well. We set our goal that we will have 1,000 by the end of this year. So we really plan to grow. So coming back to your question is, so we want to be able to provide to our customers who have either an electric vehicle or hybrid vehicle, they want to stop, they want to charge quickly because they're fast and ultra-fast chargers. We want to offer that to them along with the other things that we offer in our filling stations as well. But I think it's also important to talk about what we want to do to help decarbonize transportation that cannot be done through electrification. And these are the big heavy transportations and also aviation. It's harder to actually take them to electrification. So what we need to do is increase the bio content into the traditional fuels that reduces the carbon footprint of that. And we announced actually earlier this year the investment into what we call HVO SAF. These are technical terms, but anyway, which is biofuels, for want of a short word.
So Romania will produce biofuels?
We will actually take biofuels and blend it in the refinery, or as well as with green hydrogen as well. And we announced that investment, 750 million euros of investment in Petrobras, and it will make Petrobras the first main producer of biofuels in Southeast Europe. So we're really positioning Petrobras that way, as well as making sure we access the bio content from within the region as well. So that sort of is a little bit, so we're doing on the power side, we're doing on the electrification for EV charging, we're doing on the biofuels content for the heavy transportation and aviation fuels for transportation. And then the other area which I think is really important is the ability to store CO2. Now, what we are working on is how to commercially store CO2, mainly for customers that really cannot reduce their CO2 content. So this would be particularly looking at the cement industry. We know reservoirs, and you store CO2 in reservoirs, so we see ourselves as part of the solution, and this is what we're working on. It's more complex, it's harder, so it's going to take a bit longer to be able to do it, but I think it's very important. In a net zero world, we have to be able to store CO2. So this is, I would say, the third component that I would say that we're working on as well as a company.
The government wants you to pay more taxes. Will you? And what are the contributions that Petrom give to the state budget since you are here in Romania as a private company?
So we are, I think, one of the largest, contributors overall to the state budget. We pay a significant amount of tax. I want everyone to know we pay it on time. This is very important, I think, as part of being a corporate citizen of the country overall. What is very important to us also is that we are one of the largest investors in the country as well. And when you are an investor, you want predictability, You want to understand the regulatory and fiscal regimes that you are investing in, because this is what allows you to invest. So as well as being the largest taxpayer, we're also the largest investor. To make sure we can be the largest investor, we need predictable and understanding of legislation. They go together overall. You asked the question of, what have we done historically? So in the last 20 years, we have paid 200 billion RON of taxes, and we have invested almost 85 billion RON of capital investment in the country. So it's both taxes as well as the investments. And I think as we look forward, our role as an investor is really, really important in contributing to the Romanian economy.
So 17 billion euros contribution. 85 billion lei means 17 billion euros as a contribution.
As investment.
And as investments.
200 billion lei as taxes and contributions to the state budget in the last 20 years. So we're a big part of the economic fabric of the country. We understand that role. We actually take that role very responsibly, but yeah, we're a big contributor.